If you have a contact form on your website and it is failing to send emails, or those emails are ending up in spam, this video is for you. In fact, basically anyone with a WordPress website should still watch this video, as almost every single site should have a setup like this for sending emails, and we'll dig into why shortly. I'm Jimmy from jimmyrose.me and Content Snare. If you would like to learn more about WordPress, becoming more productive, and automating your business, please hit that red subscribe button below. Otherwise, let's get on with the video. So first, let's look at why emails aren't sending, or why they're ending up in spam. I'll keep this part as short as possible and stay away from the heavy technical stuff, but just to give you a little bit of an overview of why this is happening. So your website has some form of web hosting. Every website needs somewhere on the internet to live. Web hosting is really just a computer, also known as a server, that sits out there on the internet. It's connected to the internet, and when you visit your website, you connect to that server and it displays your website. So it's actually that computer, that server, that is trying to send the email. It's not like your WordPress website. It's actually the computer that is sending the email. So when you go and test your contact form on your website, or you're trying to test some kind of email notification, your website is telling the server, hey, please send this email for me. In some cases, that server is not even set up to send email. Like, it literally does not have the software on it that knows how to send emails. An example of this might be VPS hosting like Cloudflare, which is what I use. So in that case, WordPress is going to say, please send the email, and the server is going to go, I don't know what to do with that. The other type is shared web hosting, and these are things like SiteGround or like GoDaddy, Namecheap, Bluehost. If you're paying less than about $10 a month, even up to like $15 a month, you're probably on some form of shared hosting. And in that instance, you're basically sharing the same server, the same computer, as potentially hundreds of other websites. So it's really easy for a spammer to sign up for that kind of service and start blasting out emails, which drags down the reputation of the entire server and everyone else on it. So then with email providers like Gmail and other ones like that, they're all going to end up in spam or even flat out blocked. Some providers will not even put them in spam. They'll just flat out block emails from those kind of servers. Thankfully, the solution is actually really simple, and I'm going to show you step by step how to set this up now. Basically, what we're going to do is sign up for another service which is dedicated to sending emails. So you imagine a different computer connected to the internet that is dedicated to sending email, and instead of sending the email from our web host, we're going to send a message over there and say, hey, please send the email on my behalf, and everything should go to plan. The first step is to sign up for an SMTP service like SendGrid. Now, this is the service that is going to do the email sending on our behalf. I like SendGrid. I'll link this up below the video, but you can also just go to sendgrid.com. The reason I like it is because there is a free tier that includes 100 emails a day forever, and it's unlikely that your contact form and one website is going to go above that. There are other services like mailgun.com, and I'll link up a few others below. We're just going to focus on SendGrid because I've been using this for a long time and it's proven itself to be reliable. And of course, there's a free plan. Now, go ahead and sign up for a free account, and I'll see you on the other side of this. All right, so here is our free account, and step 2 is to set up domain authentication, and it's actually got it right there in the onboarding, which is kind of nice. Of course, it has gone and sent a account verification email, so make sure you go and accept that as well. But otherwise, we're going to click on this button here. You can see it's got the banner up the top there, but I have just gone and confirmed this in another window, so that should disappear. But this is the most complicated step of the process. You're going to add some records to your DNS server. This is essentially going to tell the world that SendGrid has permission to send email on your behalf. What you do here varies depending on what DNS service you use. So I use Cloudflare. It's one of the best out there and it's free. So it's worth having a look if you're not on Cloudflare already, just because it's so freaking fast. But if you have shared hosting or something like that, you probably have some kind of cPanel hosting. If you do, you should be able to add DNS records there really easily. I'm going to link up below to a quick guide on creating DNS records in cPanel. But no matter what hosting you're using, if you just go to Google and type in the name of the host plus add DNS records, you will probably find a support article, because this is a really common thing that happens on a lot of hosts. And if you just reach out to their support, they may even be able to help you with this. But let's go ahead and set it up in Cloudflare. So it's asking here, what DNS host do we use? So you're probably just going to put your hosting company in there or go with other host. I'm going to say Cloudflare, and I wouldn't bother with this at this stage. So we'll just go next. And then you're going to enter the domain you are sending from. So in this case, I am using a dummy domain that I don't actually use anymore, but you're just going to type your domain name in there. In the advanced settings, the automated security is actually really good. It's going to make the setup a lot easier. So we're just going to leave that as it is and go to next. And then it gives us 3 different DNS records to add. So if you have some support for your web hosting, you could basically send this to them and they'll do it for you. But I'm going to step you through it anyway, because it's pretty easy once you're in the DNS records. So jumping across to Cloudflare, I've just logged into this account and you can see all the domains we've set up here before. So again, depending on what DNS service you're using, you're going to get to your DNS records in a different way. But I'm going to open this one up, jimmyrose.co, and go to DNS. And it would look something like this, right? So we have an A record. This is what's called an A record. You might have lots here. There's all different kinds of records like MX and CNAME. So that's the things you should be looking for so you know you're in the right spot. But in this case, I'm going to jump back to SendGrid, and we've got these 3 CNAME type records, right? So the first one, I'm going to copy this out, go to Cloudflare. I'm going to add a record that is a CNAME. And that's the name we're using. Jump back to SendGrid. And this is the value here. So I'm going to copy that one and whack that in there. I always turn proxied off for Cloudflare and save. You notice it's automatically stripped the jimmyrose.co from there. So you can actually just use the first part of the URL, but Cloudflare is smart enough to strip that. So now I'm just going to continue with the other ones. So again, they're all CNAMEs. So we just do it again. Copy that value, stick it in name, copy this value, put it in there, turn proxied off, save. Add another one. Pretty sure you've got it by this point. Go ahead and do that in your account now and come back to the video. So once we're done, you'll see these 3 new CNAME records, and that is, like I said, telling the world that SendGrid has permission to send email on your behalf. So that means it's way less likely to go to spam or something like that. So there you go. That was the most complicated step. I know that gets fairly technical, but hopefully you have some support or someone you can lean on for that. Or if you're using cPanel, there are plenty of articles that show you how to use cPanel to add DNS records. Alrighty, let's get on with the easy bits then. So over at SendGrid, once you're done adding these, just head up here and click verify. Now this is going to go out and make sure those DNS records have been created. One of the main reasons I like Cloudflare is because this will happen really quickly. If you are using a different web hosting service, sometimes this can take a couple of hours before it will actually verify. But yeah, once you see that it worked, you are good to go, and you'll see this verified here under sender authentication in the menu. So that's what you want to see. Head on down to API keys here in the left-hand menu. Now, I like to create a dedicated API key for every website that I'm going to use SendGrid for. That way, if something goes wrong, like if the site gets hacked or for some reason it's sending a lot of emails, making you look bad, you can turn off just that website by disabling or deleting the API key just for that website. So go ahead and create the API key. And let's call it whatever your website is. So I'm going to say Jimmy Rose contact form. Or it doesn't even, could just be the entire website. Now you can give it full access, but it's not very hard to just restrict this to only sending mail, which is what we really should do here in case something gets a hold of that API key and then it can wreak havoc on your account. So go to restricted access, find mail send. That's the only one we care about here, and just go full access. So that's what the screen will look like, and then create and view. All right, so now it gives us that API key. So copy that out, store it somewhere, maybe in a notepad or something for now. It does say here that they can't show you the API key again, right? So make sure you have stored that somewhere. And now we're gonna head over to your WordPress site. I'm logged in here to a dummy site of my own, and I've navigated to the plugins. So go ahead and click add new plugin. And this is the one here that we're going to add, WP Mail SMTP by WP Forms. This is one of the simplest out there, and it's free. There's a pro version that gives you some extra features like email logging, which I use, but honestly, for years, I did not use the pro version, and you'll be fine. So jump back to plugins, go over to search here and put in WP Mail SMTP and install it. Once that's installed, activate it and head on over to the settings menu here for that plugin. Okay, we're using the light version, so we don't need a license key. Set up your from email. Now, this should be something from the domain you're actually sending from. So in this case, I'm going to go jimmyrose.co. So the one we've actually set up all our DNS records and everything for. The problem with using a different email is you've just gone and told the world that SendGrid has permission to send email on behalf of whatever domain we set up. If you go and stick a different domain in here, that permission is not going to be there. So it may likely end up in spam. So try to use the same domain here that we set up in SendGrid and Cloudflare. You can change the name of your site. So this is what will show up as the name that the emails are received from. So if this is just coming to you as a contact form, you might just want to say, my website or whatever the name of your website is. But I never bother really changing any of that. Now we're going to come down here to select the type of system we're going to send from. And notice here are a whole bunch of other different SMTP services that you can use. So if you don't want to use SendGrid, check out these other ones, but I'm going to go with SendGrid. So click here and it'll change the settings. It looks like it's remembered my settings from a previous install. But yes, just go ahead and click that one and you'll get this box for an API key. All you've got to do is copy that key in from SendGrid and hit save. Okay, the only step left now is to test. So we just go to this tab here. I'm going to send an email to this address. This is mine. That's fine. HTML, that doesn't really matter. I'm going to send a test. And now I'm going to open up my Gmail account here, which you can see the test email was sent successfully. So that is looking pretty good. We've got email coming from our website. Now that means your contact form is going to work, any contact form notifications, it's all going to work. Just make sure you stick to everything we've spoken about in this video, like make sure emails are coming from the same domain that you set up in the other steps. Okay, that's it. I hope this video has been helpful. If you were having issues with your contact form or Gravity forms or comment notifications or any kind of email being sent from WordPress, you should have that resolved now. Like I mentioned at the start, pretty much every WordPress site should have a setup like this. If you're on any kind of shared or VPS hosting, you should definitely do this, as it will make it much more likely for your emails to end up in the right place. Again, I've been Jimmy from jimmyrose.me and Content Snare. If you would like more tips on WordPress, websites, becoming more productive and automating your business, I release regular videos on these topics. So please hit that red subscribe button below and I'll see you in the next video.